You know, it is a sad indictment of this country when we lose a good man who has put a lot into the system. And I don't talk highly about MPs very often. You know this, right? You know this. You don't hear this from me very often. I don't speak highly of MPs very often. I'm sure absolutely every single one of you have heard the news about the Tory MP today who was murdered. This is an attack on democracy. This is not something that I revel in, as much as I dislike MPs, and you all know that. Actually, this is a great loss. This was a real great loss for the Tory party and in politics in general. This is Sir David Amess, and he was 69 years of age. He had been an MP for 38 years. And look, as far as Tories go, this really was one of the last true Conservative MPs. One of the last real Tories left. He was a Thatcherite. He's a father of 5 children, 4 daughters. There they are in the picture on the right. They're his 4 daughters and his wife, Julia, I believe her name is. And he also had a son. And this was a Christian man. He was against abortion. He voted against abortion. He voted against LGBT. He voted against same-sex marriage. He was pro-Brexit. One of his passions were animal rights. It is a terrible indictment on his own party that this man is now dead, that his 5 children will not see him again, that his wife will not see him again, that his staff in his constituency, at his constituency meeting in that Methodist church today, they witnessed him being stabbed to death by a Somalian man. That's sad. That is an indictment on his party, because you don't see the Tories trying to clean this act up. Now, the Tories, in fact, have been responsible for allowing in 20,000, 20,000 illegal immigrants on dinghies this year alone. Just let that sink into your heads. 20,000 illegal immigrants on dinghies. We are an island, right? We've managed to fight people off for hundreds of years, right? We managed to fight off armadas. We are an island. We can protect ourselves. We have forces to do that, but we can't stop people getting in on dinghies. And I do not care whether people say, oh, well, you know, not all of the people coming over would do this. I don't care whether one of them would do it. Someone has done it, and they're not from this country. Is that not reason enough to clean this place up? You know, this is where we're going to see now a whole twisting of narrative, because no one's going to want to come out. I bet all of the left-wingers were sitting there praying that it was another man linked with the right wing, that they could point the finger of blame at the likes of myself. Now, you'll remember that there was an MP called Jo Cox. She was the MP for the Batley and Spen constituency, for which I just stood in the by-election, and she was murdered by a man with mental health issues. And at the time, the mainstream media apportioned the blame for that attack onto myself. And I remember thinking at the time how ludicrous that was. And I gave interviews, and it was very hostile. The media were very hostile, and they were saying, oh, how do you're responsible for this? People talk about politics and hostility and how it's dangerous, and I've been blamed for, I was blamed for Jo Cox's death, and I've been blamed for all sorts. And they said that it's because of my rhetoric and because of my political persuasion and because of my position in politics. Really? The Labour Party particularly, and I am no lover of the Tories, right? Absolutely no lover of the Tories. The Labour Party in recent weeks have grabbed hold of this, the latest phrase that they're using, which is Tory scum. I haven't seen the news coverage blaming Angela Rayner for this attack. Not quite like they had done within less than an hour of Jo Cox being murdered. My name and my face was all over the headlines as the reason for this attack, the cause for this attack. I wasn't anywhere near the attack. I had nothing to do with the attack. The person who carried out the attack had never met me, never spoken to me, didn't belong to the party that I ran at the time. But somehow the media felt it was okay to immediately run my name and point the finger of blame. I don't know how they're going to spin this one, because this guy certainly wouldn't have been anywhere near Sir David, let alone the constituency, let alone our island, if I had my way, because if there were people in power that cared about this island, we wouldn't have Somalian nutjobs running our streets, running into Methodist churches where there are constituency meetings being held and stabbing politicians, members of parliament, elected members of parliament through our democratic system, stabbing them to death. It wouldn't be happening if we had decent leadership. But the Tory party, just like the Labour Party, just like the SNP, just like the Shinners, they are all eating out of the same trough. They are all exactly the same. They all bring this upon us. And let's put something out here now. I have expressed sorrow and I've expressed sadness for the death of this MP, and I mean that genuinely heartfelt, and I hope that people can tell that. Let me just say something. If it was some Tom, Dick and Harry that had got stabbed on the street, not a member of parliament, there wouldn't be anywhere near the outrage that there is now. I will say 2 words to you just to illustrate that. Emily Jones. And anyone who doesn't know who Emily Jones is, ask yourself why you don't know who Emily Jones is. She was a little 6-year-old girl who was stabbed to death by an Albanian immigrant in a park on Mother's Day in front of her father. They cut her through her neck. I share the sentiment that this is an attack on our democracy. But it's not as relevant when it's a little white girl. It's not as relevant when it's just someone walking the streets. It's not as relevant. Not at all. They have to meet a certain criteria for this to matter. Well, how are they going to spin it this time? How are they going to spin this? You know what they're going to do? Is diversity still our strength? Really? Is this what cultural enrichment looks like? Because I don't think so. I'm not feeling the cultural enrichment right now. I don't think the people of the constituents, in fact, I don't think anyone in the Tory party, I don't think anyone in politics, for a number of reasons, not least I've heard so many politicians today express how worried they are for themselves. Just put that into context for a moment. These people who support, and a lot of these were Labour Party as well, but still the Tories are exactly the same. These people who have pushed for mass immigration, these people have pushed for open borders, these people have pushed for these refugee schemes, these people that have done all of this, they are the same ones saying, we don't feel safe. I'm not surprised you don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. Try and walk through the streets of South East London at night and tell me if you feel safe. Try and walk through the streets of Brixton, or Peckham, or Elephant and Castle, or Camberwell. These are all places where I grew up. I grew up on these streets. Now these streets, I am one of the remaining few white people that would ever grace these streets, and I don't do it often. You know, you don't feel safe. I'm not surprised. We don't feel safe. We have been telling you this for a long time. The constituents have been telling you for a long time that we don't feel safe, and it takes for another MP to be murdered. I don't know how they're going to spin the motive of this. No doubt it'll be mental health issues, or, I don't know, something that completely avoids the issue. But they certainly won't point it out for what it is, will they? They can't blame me on this one.